Hey guys, it's Steve Bonham from ImportantNonsense.com, going over the winners and losers from day one of the NFL draft. For me, the biggest winner was CeeDee Lamb. Yes, I know he went to the Cowboys and he's not the established number one, but for him, I think that's a great thing. I mean, he was a guy who I had rated as my number one wide receiver in the draft, and depending on the situation, he was probably going to be a back end wide receiver two, have a chance to be a high end wide receiver two. This puts him in a spot to take over the role on the outside from Michael Gallup. He's now going to get the number two cornerback coverage when you're playing alongside Amari Cooper. And most importantly, it's a quarterback and an offense that loves to throw the ball and needs to throw the ball given their secondary. So, yes, I think that CeeDee Lamb is going to be a legit fantasy starter in redraft this year as well as Dynasty. The dude is legit. Big win for him. Biggest loser, I'd love to say Aaron Rodgers. Look, they should have gone out and gotten him a weapon in the first round of this draft, and instead they went and drafted his replacement. But who I am going to go with is Henry Ruggs. Ruggs is a talented guy. He was the number 3 wide receiver available on the board, and for whatever reason, the Raiders took him at number 1, and I think that's the biggest issue. Depending on where he landed, he could have been a great number 2 to some wide receiver. Hell, had he been CeeDee Lamb, had he been the one that slid down and went to the Cowboys, I think Ruggs would have had a legit chance to have some real fantasy value. But as the number 1 receiver on the team, he's going to struggle with that cornerback coverage for at least the first couple of seasons. And Ruggs is a guy that if you have the pick to stash, sure, you can stash him, but I feel like you're going to be better off going any of a number of different ways at wide receiver. It was a big hit to his fantasy value landing where he did. Finally, too early to tell. I'm going to go with Clyde EdwardsHelaire. Let's pump the brakes on this one a little bit, people. Look, Kansas City is a great offense. We all understand that. But last season combined, Damian Williams and LaShawn McCoy had 270 touches. There were 19 running backs last year in the NFL individually who had at least 250. Jamal Charles in 2013 and then Kareem Hunt in 2017 and 18 were the only backs in the Andy Reid offense who have had a chance to surpass that 250 touch total. If EdwardsHelaire does become the bell cow back, let's say he does get all the touches, let's say he becomes what Kareem Hunt was for 2 years in that offense. So you're putting all of the sugar on top. You're giving it the glassiest, most beautiful scenario. At that time, he was still a high-end RB2. He still wasn't an established RB1, and you've got guys like Zach Moss from Utah and DeAndre Swift, who are 3-down backs that can catch the ball that, depending on situation, could end up being a better back and a better fantasy relevant back than Clyde EdwardsHelaire. For guys like Swift and Moss, you have situations all over the place, like taking over for Todd Gurley in LA or replacing James Conner, who the Steelers seem to be desperate to get rid of in Pittsburgh. And then there's the entire state of Florida. I mean, Miami is not a sexy pick, but look, touches are touches, and you could very easily see a similar situation happening to Jordan Howard, like what happened with Miles Sanders in Philly last year. Also, obviously, there's Tampa Bay. Anyone that isn't Ronald Jones behind Tom Brady and with that offense is going to be a legit RB1 option in fantasy. And then, of course, the one that no one is talking about right now, Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette is on the trade block. They're trying to move him. They're trying to get whatever they can in the final year of his contract. If Swift or Moss lands in Jacksonville and they're able to move on from Fournette, they would instantly be a top 5 running back this season and beyond.